Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, a 3 times weekly show looking into the exciting happenings at Ipswich Town Football Club. This is the 150th edition of the flagship show, and I, Mikey Pennysmith, have the honour of presenting it alongside 2 legends of the podcast. And on Super Bowl Sunday, we have a statistical quarterback. It's the Renegade Statman.
Hi Mikey, hi Dave.
Hello mate.
And a punter who can apparently kick with both feet. That's Dave Diamond.
Guys,
how are the NFL references there, Stat?
Yeah, it was quite good, I think. Super Bowl. Yeah. Super Bowl 53 starts tonight. No one wants the Patriots to win unless you're a Patriots fan. So I'm hoping that the Rams will win.
I don't really follow them. Aren't the Patriots in it like every year or every other year?
Yes, because they cheat. Allegedly. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How many of the 150 flagship shows do you think you've been in, Dave?
Wow. Quite a lot. I mean, obviously, all the early ones until this season, really. So I guess I've missed, I don't know, what have I missed this season? 10, maybe?
Yeah, maybe 140.
I reckon 140 getting that way. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, actually, I've got the stats. I've gone through
and Stat, because Stat would count because he counts when he's not on. Go on, Stat.
141.
141. Yeah. Proud of that. Yeah, quite proud of that. Yeah.
And of those, 23 were quite good.
All the rest were very good.
Of course.
Is that what you mean? Of course. That's what you mean. Yeah. Oh dear, those early ones were funny, but there you go. Oh, they're still funny, but those early ones were just with Ben in the pod, in the pod bunker, were they were different. But anyway,
we can't reflect on that any longer. We need to move on to the current happenings at Ipswich Town Football Club. So let's start with the news. I've got man flu, by the way. Apologies for that. And I'm also using my dad's laptop this evening. So if I'm slower than usual, that's what my excuse is anyway. So the week started well for Ipswich. On Monday, Teddy Bishop scored a hat-trick and a 5-0 win over Millwall under-23s. So we started on a positive note. Was that a reminder of his quality, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, he's slowly getting there, isn't he? Slowly getting fitter, stronger. And I think it was. I don't go working. It's a shock. But, yeah, 1 or 2 people I know who actually went said he was at the absolutely boss of the game. And, it was a hat-trick was a reflection of his performance on the day, really. He was outstanding. Hopefully he's just going to get stronger from now in, really.
And Stat, will we get an extra star on our shirt for winning that under-23 league, do you think?
Should do, I think. Give us something else to brag about. No, it's good. I think it goes to show that some of the players that are involved in there are quite good, but I think it's the jump from the under-23 league into the first team that's a struggle. But Teddy coming back is great, and I like to see him to play. When he's played in the first team, he's only played 1 game when he's played the whole 90 minutes. The rest of the time, he's kind of been hoiked off or come on as a sub. And I think, he needs to have a run of 6 to a dozen games where he can play 90 minutes.
I think I agree, Stat. He's only going to get stronger. I was a bit disappointed. I will get to that. But I was a bit disappointed to see him get the hook yesterday, to be fair. But I guess they're still in slightly protection mode of him a little bit. But when does that end? Somehow you got to think, right, he is fit enough to play 90 minutes. Let him go.
So this year we got our business done in the January window pretty early, but then on deadline day there was a little bit of action for Ipswich fans, wasn't there? And there was the early rumour that Pennington was going to be sent to Derby by Everton as we came in for James Bree. I'll ask Stat about the James Bree arrival, but your question from me, Dave, is ultimately were you pleased to see Pennington stay at the club?
Yeah, I think so, because obviously he can form a dual role. He has been playing right back, but I think centre back is his better position. And I think obviously this all happened on Thursday when we understand that perhaps the knocks to both Collins and Chambers took place. So whether there was any chance of Pennington going or not, I don't know. But that certainly put the lid on that, I think.
And Stat, are you pleased to see an actual right back at the club? senior right back, even though he's quite young, isn't he? But
yeah, I was before 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. We'll come on to that, but I think
we will.
All these things were linked to the Pennington move. Chambers and Collins being injured. If Pennington went off, or we needed a right back. But the pleasing thing for me is Josh Emmanuel as a right back was back on the bench. So
yeah,
I'd give him a go, to be honest with you, over any lone player.
Absolutely, me too. I see. We're also prior to that we were linked with that Ivan Pinto from Norwich, weren't we? That was on the forum earlier on in the day, I think. Before
that would have been an interesting one.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
Even before the Bree rumor. Sorry, even before the Bree thing came to fruition. So that would have been an interesting one. But no, I'm glad Pennington's staying, because like I said, I think he's pretty versatile, isn't he?
Okay, so this is going to be the first mention of this bloke's name in the 150th show, which is probably going to be called the Jonas Knudsen show. That move, it actually looked like it could happen to Stoke on deadline day night. In the end, it didn't. He seemed desperate to move to Stoke or Middlesbrough, or any side that traditionally doesn't play attractive football. Ultimately, that didn't happen. How do you think Paul Lambert has handled that situation, Dave?
I think he's handled it pretty well, really. I mean, if I was Knudsen, I'd be fairly okay. Yeah, okay, it was him. You'd think they initiated, but I'd be fairly pissed off with my agent, to be fair. Because obviously, right up until the last minute, I think he was still expecting a move, and Stoke let Peters, the left back, go, didn't they? So right up until the last minute, he could still go. He's staying, and now he's sort of stuck. And I think Paul Lambert has rightly or wrongly set out his stall. Ironically, given the game we've got coming up next weekend, I would have him back. But look, I don't know. He hasn't had the greatest of seasons. We'll get to what happened yesterday and the goal and stuff, but. No, I think Lambert's no player's bigger than the club, especially Jonas Knudsen, for Christ's sake. So I think he's handled it fairly well. But I don't think we should perhaps cut our nose off to spite our face. If we think he can come back and do a job, then get him back in.
I was just about to direct a different question to you.
Okay,
we are going to come back to Knudsen when we get to the Twitter questions. But is it McLaughlin? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
He left on a permanent transfer, didn't he, to AFC Wimbledon?
Good move for him. He's not going to break into our first team. And what is he now, Dave? 22, I think.
21, 22, isn't he? Yeah, 21, 22.
He needs to move on and play games at his age. So it'd be worthwhile keeping an eye out for Wimbledon and seeing how he's doing. And obviously, that'll be next season as well. So.
Yeah, although it looks like Wimbledon are going to be relegated to.
I don't pay attention to our own league anymore.
Yeah, they're struggling, aren't they? Doing really well in the cup, for Christ's sake.
Doing well in the cup, though, yeah.
Well, they had a couple of town players, didn't they? Wordsworth and Dylan Connolly played for Wimbledon against West Ham.
Yeah, and Sammy Moore used to play there as well. A bit of a.
Yes, he did. Yeah, Sammy Moore. Yeah.
And Pim Balkstein rocked up there at some point as well.
Oakstein, yeah, he did. Yeah.
He was a hell of a player, wasn't he?
Him, yeah.
So Bree, we'll get to it, may have plugged the gap at right back, and that brings us nicely onto the plug, where normally we say, get your ticket for the live show, but we can't say that anymore, can we? Because it's been sold out. So I guess now all we have left to say is don't forget to go. So those who have got a ticket.
I'm sure there'll be touts outside walking up and down Princes Street there by the zebra, by the crossing near AXA. Probably tickets. Buy sell Blue Monday podcast live tickets.
I've got a few tickets I'm trying to sell, and I was just speaking to this guy on Twitter, just asking if he wanted to come to Blue Monday Live, but he didn't seem keen. So it's not for everybody. But yeah, I've got tickets. They're £50 each now.
Yeah. Well, I can only imagine status. I don't know what you're referring to, but presumably he doesn't live very close to Ipswich and can't get down.
I think that's it. Yeah.
We'll go with that. Okay. So moving on from that one, we'll move on to the game now. On Saturday, it was 24th place facing 16th as we hosted Sheffield Wednesday, and Wednesday is still not fully safe yet. Steve Bruce's first game in charge. Paul Lambert made 4 changes. See, Collins and Chambers both out with injuries, and Keane and Chalobah were dropped. That's the only way to put it. So he started with Bart in goal, a back 4 of Bree making his debut, Pennington moving back to centre-back alongside Nsiala, Kenlock was left-back, a midfield trio of Skews, Bishop and Downs, Sears and Judge playing out wide with Colin Quaner through the middle. How much of a blow was it to hear that Chambers and Collins were out, Dave?
Yeah, I think it was. Although on the day, I don't think the centre halves ultimately played that badly. Pennington and NCL, I think, probably the best 2 players, to be fair. But yeah, it was obviously a blow. You know, you're up against some experience in there. You know, Fletcher and people like that up front. So you're up against experience. But to be fair, I thought the 2 NCL and Pennington played and had quite good games, really. Where I think it perhaps did make a difference, especially in the first half, was the new young. Well, he's okay, experienced, but young. He's still only 21, whatever he is. Bree, the fullback. I know Stat was coming on to say that. I think he struggled first half, and I think a lot of that was perhaps he wasn't getting the guidance from Pennington or Nsiala that, less for argument's sake, he certainly would have got from a Chambers. Chambers would have been playing right, wouldn't he? So that he would have got from a Chambers. So I think it certainly had an impact there. I think.
And Stat.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. Say a bit on that.
I think everybody at the start of the season would have been quite shocked if we said, come February, we'll have a back 4 of Kenlock, Nsiala would be in there, and Aloni, who we did have playing at right back, coming back into centre back, and then a new Loney coming in on the Thursday. And, for those 4 to defend well, I think I agree with you, Dave. I don't think that Pennington and Nsiala were too bad. There was one occasion where they jumped into each other.
Yeah.
But I would say, Collins and Chambers, we did miss their experience, and I think when we come to the goal, and just wonder whether there'd have been any help for Kenlock there if Collins had been just to his right and stuff.
Yeah,
possibly.
We'll get onto that, but I actually thought when I saw the lineup that although it's obviously not ideal at all to be missing Chambers and Collins, it's actually Nsiala and Pennington isn't a completely disastrous centre-back pairing, whereas earlier on this season and also in previous seasons under Mick, we'd have had fullbacks plug in the gaps there, wouldn't we? So Nsiala might turn out to be, I mean, he's going to be a good centre-back in League One, I think
so. Do you know what? I thought
Pennington, I think, is a championship defender.
Oh, he's a good player. He's good, but I thought Nsiala was perhaps our best player yesterday. Outfield, I thought he was. I thought he played really well, but... Yeah. Whether it had been any different, with Collins and Chambers, I was just trying to think Collins in the opposition penalty area, but we didn't really get the ball in there anyway, so it probably wouldn't have done.
and Stat Chalobah, Player of the Month.
Yeah, that was quite ironic, wasn't it?
Only Ipswich in the season of utter shite could do that, couldn't they? Unbelievable.
But do you think? And we were talking on our very private Blue Monday WhatsApp group about, Skews and Chalobah playing together, particularly at home. So, I think Bishop deserved his chance in midfield, like we spoke about how he did on Monday. And Flynn Downs, he is the future, and he's going to learn from playing in games like that. So I'm kind of for actually playing every player that we think that we're going to have next season here. The biggest shock for me actually was Will Keane not starting. I don't know what you thought about that, Mikey.
Well, it must just be that Lambert has made a rod for his own back in some ways by saying that Colin Quaner was signed as a centre forward, and although he impressed running the channels at Villa, he's felt like he needed to play him in that position to give him a fair go, and hopefully he's learnt from that, because I don't think Colin Quaner is a centre forward based on what we've seen so far, but also what Harry has relayed to us from the Huddersfield forums, and that Quaner is someone who will get you a few assists and is good running with the ball, but isn't good in the central areas. But we will see. I'll just quickly run through the Wednesday lineup. Got some pretty big names still kicking about there, and a few of them weren't playing earlier on in the season, but they've got Westwood back in goal, a back 4 of Palmer, Lees, Hector, Fox, Hutchison and Barry Bannan sitting in front of the back four with a three of Boyd, Forestieri and Reach, and Fletcher up front. That's a decent front four, isn't it?
A lot of experience.
And a very good goalkeeper.
A lot of experience there. Yeah, he's got a left foot like a hammer, Westwood always has, hasn't he? Yeah, very, very experienced side. But there weren't, wasn't much between us really. I don't think. There wasn't much between us. But yeah, you can't. That's what we haven't got. We just haven't got that, especially with the likes of Collins and Chambers out yesterday. I think it showed the lack of inexperience, a little lack of experience, a bit at times.
One player who has got a fair bit of experience, though, is Bialkowski, and he's in desperate need of a good game, and he started pretty well. In the 18th minute, he got down, made a really good save with his feet to deny Stephen Fletcher. He's a decent striker at this level. Ipswich they appeared to start pretty slowly again. Bishop was trying to get us going, wasn't he? Trying to pick the ball up in the middle and make runs, but then the final ball wasn't forthcoming, was it?
He's the one, Mikey. He's the one that can do that for us. The stats said, a couple of bursts in midfield, and you can see what he's about. Yeah, he's got stronger, and he's back to what he was a couple of seasons ago. But he is the one that can do that. And twice he sort of broke the line, didn't he? One, I think, he passed to Quainer, and the second one he just passed, and he just passed. And I think it's a good ball, but perhaps it was like a sort of move ahead again of Quainer. I don't think that's necessarily Quainer's fault. He just made one run and he put it there. But both times you just see the examples of what he can do, breaking from midfield, and probably him. Well, we'll get on to Judge, but him and Judge are the only two that can do that.
I think for me, if Quainer is a centre forward, then that ball that Teddy played, because it was a great ball, and he
just weren't on it, was he?
Yeah, he was on it at all. And Teddy can be on a different level, but I think before that shot, Mikey, the first 18 minutes, even though it was not fantastic football, I thought we brought the game to them. We were matching them and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay, but it was still Wednesday looking more dangerous as the half went on. Forestieri missed the first of what seemed like half a dozen really good chances when he fired over the bar. Would you say, it's easy to say this in hindsight, Stat, but should Lambert have changed it up at half time? Changed the formation, perhaps?
Well, I think Dave and I would like to come on to the. Can we talk about the whole formation of the side now, or should we wait until after this game? That will come in the Twitter questions. Okay, right.
Yeah.
No, I think I'd kind of described it as a pretty nondescript half. I don't think Dave and I are going to be covering it on the history pod anytime soon. And realistically, I would have kept the 11 on the pitch that he had, with the idea of getting Keane on. But if I was going to hoik anybody off, I probably would have taken Flynn Downs off at half time for Chalobah and brought him on.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he, to be fair, he changed it, and it didn't change formation, but he changed it quite quickly. I think Quainer got the hook 55, quite early. I think when Keane came on. To be fair. Yeah. I just think yesterday he missed a trick where he used Judge. Judge, for me, was out wide. He was too deep. All right, second half, he was coming to look for the ball and stuff, and Christ taking free kicks from his own half and stuff. Fair enough, because you're not going to add anything in there with his height, to be fair. But I just think he was totally wasted yesterday. And yesterday I thought was the first time when I've seen him play that Lambert perhaps was a bit lost out, and he shouldn't do, perhaps a little bit tactically to Bruce yesterday. I think he certainly could have used Judge better, I felt, yesterday, just to get him on the ball a bit more, because he hardly landed on the ball in their half when he only had to take a free kick, barely.
Exactly,
didn't he?
Yeah. And for me, he should have been playing like Barry Bannan was playing for Sheffield Wednesday. That's his great position. And when you see
Bannan can you explain to us, because I wasn't at the game, where was Bannan playing?
Deep, just centre circle.
So a deep lying playmaker then.
Yeah, really. Touches
broke play up.
Keeping it ticking over, neat and tidy. It's a typical Bannan game, really, wasn't it? Neat and tidy, nothing special. But
do you think in that formation that Lambert went with, could we maybe have replaced a Downs with Judge, and
potentially,
then played Quainer out wide and played Keane through the middle?
Exactly, just something else. I agree with that. I agree, and I think, do you know what, the way Quainer jumps for the ball, I think. Well, I did this thing with Harry on the WhatsApp last night. He jumps like a talk, but he jumps and he sort of hunched. He doesn't jump his height. It's weird. So I think perhaps coming onto the ball, if a ball with Bart, we've seen it before, Bart kicks those diagonal balls from there, and plus he runs the channels. I think he's, if we're going to play him wide. That's where Huddersfield is. That's where he created all those chances, or we scored his goals and assists when Huddersfield were in the Championship. I think don't give up on him, but give him a go there. But he's not no through the middle target man. That's for sure.
Dave, when you say that he jumps like a tortoise, do you mean that by the fact that he's really slow and he never gets off the ground?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I was getting angry. Yeah. I mean, I watch it, but yesterday I was just getting the people around me saying, well, he doesn't win anything. Surely he's got to win one. All right, heck, there's a big lump, but he just didn't look like winning anything.
He won us a free kick, didn't he, when he got slammed into the advertising horns, whether it was a throw-in or whatever. But and then he was taken off just about a minute or so after that.
I think that was an excuse. That stay off. But
I'd be interested to know what Quana thinks his best position is. Has he said that he's a centre forward or a winger? Because a lot of players do. They come out early on and say, "Oh, my best position is this," and invariably they say that their best position is number 10.
Yeah, I agree. There was once, and you can see it. Is once when he gets the ball. There was one when he did receive the ball wide, and he sort of turned off his wrong foot and turned and dropped his shoulder and went. And he's quite quick, and you think, oh yeah. That's obviously what he's got, what he's good at. But I think he did it once, and then he's back inside again, and then I think he got hooked anyway. But yeah, he was pretty disappointed. But Down struggled yesterday. Then he sort of changed his subject. Down struggled badly yesterday. I think he's a good player, and I think he'll be great. He'll be a great player for us long term. But man, I'd like give Nydam, give him a chance.
Yeah,
I really,
it is that time. It's that
time. He might be the next one to get a go.
I hope so, Mikey.
He got brought in sort of. It was a bit of a shock decision to start him in the home derby. Was it last season?
I think it was. I think you're right. He did.
Yeah,
he did all right. He did
okay, didn't he?
Yeah. I don't think he was sort of overawed by the occasion or anything like that. I wouldn't say he necessarily had a great game, but yeah, he's maybe the type of player that you can throw in and he'll deal with it. He played in a big game for Kilmarnock, didn't he, against Rangers, perhaps?
St Johnstone.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he played against one of the old firm.
I think perhaps he did. He's not as... from what I see of him, he's not as athletic as Downs. Downs is quite athletic and gets around the pitch quite well, and I don't think he's athletic at that. I see Nydam as a bit more of a sort of playmaker type role. But yeah, I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him given another go at some point. Maybe not Sunday.
You've both mentioned that Nsiala had quite a good game.
So.
He did have one moment of madness though, didn't he? Where he just leathered the ball into the air, and then when it came back, the Wednesday fans were in fine voice at that point. When I watched it on the highlights, you could really hear them chant. Maybe he was just trying to listen into what they were singing, but he just completely switched off. Forestieri got through,
and
again, he just blazed it over, didn't he?
Got excited, didn't he? Yeah, got excited. Just need a bit of finesse there, didn't he? But to be in Bart's defence, there he was out quite quickly to him, but he should have scored.
I mean, when that happened. And the shot went over the bar, and I sit right behind there, and I stood up, and I was berating Nsiala for his lack of concentration. And then next thing I thought, what's that? And the match ball landed right next to me. So it's one of those very odd, very few occasions when you've actually got the match ball. And I picked it up, and I was about to throw it on the pitch, and I thought no. So I gave it to my son, and I said, "You can throw it on the pitch." But yeah, and at that point I thought, oh my goodness, this is good vibes. We're gonna win.
It's unbelievable. My lad caught the ball yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah. Incredible. What are the chances? Not in the same move, obviously. But
yeah. I mean, in some ways that is a nice story, but it does seem like Stat's got this lovely story from the game, and then Dave, you just come in and ruined it.
I've just gone and trumped it. No, mine wasn't from a memorable miss by Forestieri. Mine was just, I don't know, someone shanked it out for a throw in. That's nowhere near as impressive as Stats. Cool.
You always have to go one better, don't you? Yeah.
Trump him.
Oh, stay with us, because we've got a few questions for you. I don't want you to just go storming out now, but.
Actually, I think Kieran called it before. In my first half, I think Kieran that.
Well, actually, it came in the first half to me, and I did a few keepy uppies and just flicked it over into the cobbled stand.
Of course, yeah.
Maybe the listeners can reply to the flagship show tweet when this show goes out, and let us know any time that they've touched the match ball. I think that would be enjoyable to read through, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah.
Accidental partridge. So the game seems to be following a similar pattern, though. Ipswich were maybe picking up a little bit. Chalobah came on for Bishop, and we seemed to improve. Judge cut in from the right, had a shot. I don't think.
Oh, that was a good move. That was quite a good move, wasn't it? Skews. That was a nice
three or four
flick.
passes. Yeah, Skews did
nice
a good
little flick
yeah.
by Keane, wasn't it? Little Keane flick. He sort of stepped inside and just sort of.
But can we just pick up on the point that was the wrong substitution? Taking Teddy off at that point was wrong. You know, we said Flynn Down should have gone, and that's a game that he's got under his belt, and he'll learn from that. But Teddy needs the minutes.
He does. He wasn't quite so effective. I didn't think second half maybe, but that was perhaps because the game was getting a bit on stretch and stuff like that. But I totally agree with your stat. Yeah, totally agree.
Chalobah then, he had a fairly decent chance from I think it was a Judge corner late on where he got up well, won the header, but unlike the one at Swansea, the goalkeeper just threw his
dropped
hand on it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is that the one that Pennington then rushed in?
It
looked a lot closer live, but when you watch it on the TV, then Kieran Westwood had it well covered.
He just dropped on it. He didn't fumble it or anything. No.
And at this point, I'm sitting at home with the man flu, thinking, 0-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Where do we go from here? Well, at least we're not losing any ground. And then what happens, Dave?
There was a shout. Yeah, I mean, there was a shout, and I haven't seen it back. You see the replays on the YouTube and stuff like that, and it doesn't show it. But from memory, there was quite a hefty challenge by Hector. Just inside the, about 10 yards inside the Sheffield Wednesday half on Keane, and Hector comes away with the ball. Keane's appealing. I think it's 1 or 2 appealing. This doesn't have really any effect on the goal, but they're appealing for the foul. To be fair, great ball from Hector. Hector gets his head up, and he's a good player, Chelsea player. Clips a ball wide to Adam Reach, who had done bugger all game really. Missed a great chance in the first half when he spooned one over from about 6 yards, empty net. But this is, I think, where Kenlock, inexperienced. He shouldn't be really. He's played enough, but it just gets too tight to him. Doesn't it? Just get too tight to Reach. And I think Reach perhaps surprises him because he goes round him on his wrong foot. Reach, as we know, is a really all left foot. But what he does well, he controls it really well, brings it down, kills it there. Kenlock gets a bit too tight to him, and Reach just goes around him, and then when he lunges in, he just touches it away from his left foot, and it's good from Reach. He's got he doesn't panic. He's to the byline, edge of the 6-yard box, doesn't panic, gets his head up, slides it across, and bloody a nemesis, isn't it? That Lucas Jow come on a sub, sweeps it in, empty net really from about 8 yards. Yeah, it's a poor goal from Kenlock, and Lambert was probably right. Yeah, it was poor defending. He shouldn't have got done there. No way should you get done there. But yeah, it's good from Reach and an easy finish from Jow, really. A bit of a sickener, really. And for me, when that went in, that's the first time I thought, yeah, we really are done now. That's it now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Another nail in the coffin, stat.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, I'll come back to a couple of points, but Dave's spot on. You just sat there, and when the ball came across, well, actually, first of all, it should have been a free kick, Dave, on Keane.
Yeah, it's heavy when it was. Yeah.
When it went out wide, my first thought was Kenlock was too far away from Reach, and then he obviously thought I'm too far away, and then got as close as he possibly could. And I was just like, just cut him out. And then once he got beside him, and you knew the ball was going in into the 6-yard box, and he just placed it in, and I sat there and I thought, these are the goals that get you relegated. And, what little chance I thought that we did have, and I've still got a very small chance, but it's not going to happen. What little chance I had was just, that was it. And I think it was probably for a long time for me that I came home, really despondent and thought, League One football is happening.
Well, I've got to say, listen, this stat completely blanked me afterwards. He looked like he's ready to boil on the back of Churchman's stand. I can't believe it. Walked past him. All right, stat. Blanked me completely. He looked like he was ready to boil, honestly. Yeah, I agree with you. In hindsight, Kenlock, you're right. He was away from him, and then he almost got to him too quickly. So he's almost off balance when he got to him, and he just, it was clever by Reach, but yeah, disappointing down in the 90th minute, just gutting, really.
It's one of the first things you're told as a defender, and you can always hear it ringing in your ears when a winger goes out wide. is don't let them get an easy cross in.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah,
but it wasn't completely Kenlock's fault. The ball came a long way.
It did.
He hasn't played an incredible amount of football recently, and this did happen in the 90th minute.
And as Stat said, arguably it was a free kick.
Yeah. Shall we go on to the Twitter questions then?
Yeah.
Let's talk some more Jonas Knudsen. But first of all, who'd like to go first?
I'll go first.
Stat. Alistair Rattray.
Alistair.
If Ipswich hadn't blocked the move, would Pennington now be a Derby player? If so, how does this affect the player's attitude towards his remaining time at Ipswich, if he was perhaps keen to leave? How does this differ from Knudsen? For footballing reasons, shouldn't he be playing?
Glad you took that one.
Knudsen, that is. Shall we just try and answer the final question there?
Yeah.
Should Knudsen be playing if Pennington is allowed to play?
No, because I think there's two people who have both said within the last 2 weeks that Jonas Knudsen thinks he's better than he actually is, which was me, and then clearly Paul Lambert, who was watching that show, because he said it yesterday. But no, it's not a question about Jonas's ability, because overall, if you look at his career, he's done well for us, but he's kind of fallen, by the wayside. But he wants to go, and when we go back to when John Walters and Roy Keane and stuff like that, if once a player wants to go, I think it's best just to say, actually, we're down now. If Jonas comes in, he's not going to be the magical catalyst which is going to get us promoted or that'd be nice. Keep us out of the bottom three. So no, let's go with Kenlock.
Stat, what do we know? And all this downtime and lack of first team action, he could have been practicing his long throws, mate. He could have perfected it by now. And we might score a hatful from his long throws. Getting back to Pennington, though, it's slightly different, because is it a case with Pennington that Derby came in for him and Pennington was saying, well, actually, I wouldn't be averse to that. I'm not Pennington, but I don't think it was a case of Pennington, Derby are coming for him, and all right, I'll be up for that, but. Yeah, I think it's slightly.
And I don't think you can really blame him either. And by the sounds of it, he just carried on as normal.
Yeah, I thought he was great yesterday. Penny was great yesterday. You couldn't fault his attitude. Didn't miss a header. I didn't think. I thought he was great yesterday.
He's a lone player, and lone players. At the end of the season, if a team gets relegated or whatever, there's no real baggage for them, and he'll come in and he's professional and he's a professional player. Does a job. Yeah. And I agree, David. I think he was our best player. I think he edged out
him and the other centre half. In hindsight, I think he was yesterday, and he has been on several games this season. Yeah, a good lone player.
So what is going to happen to Jonas now? He's just going to run his contract down and then probably sign for Stoke or Middlesbrough, like you said.
Denmark, probably. Don't you think?
Not.
I can't see Stoke being interested in him under. If they've still got Nathan Jones in charge, he might end up at Sheffield Wednesday. A manager like Steve Bruce might fancy him.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't have an Irish passport, if he had an Irish passport, he could probably, go and follow Mick off to Republic of Ireland. Here's
the thing. I know you can't compare because it's not fair. Shoot me down, but I don't. In recency, because I sit there right in front of it, I can't recall many occasions when Knudsen's got skinned like Kenlock did in that situation, because he's just physically stronger, and he'd have the physical ability when Reach takes it outside him to just say shoulder him unfairly, but absolutely physically, win the ball. So,
but that's because he's probably played 120 more games than Kenlock.
Right. Yeah.
And
that experience.
Mick and then Paul Hurst, they all saw Knudsen at left back. And this has only come about again through. I'd like to catch up on Marcus Evans' interview in a bit, Mikey, if we don't do that. But I think, this has just come about because the club have made a mistake again by allowing players to run down their contract.
Yeah, terrible.
Which never happened.
No.
Was that Marcus Evans' interview this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I missed it out in the news.
Well, I wonder when it was coming. Yeah.
I thought it was coming. I've got like 2 pages about that.
Penty Smith out. We'll come to that at the end of the Twitter questions then. maybe it's because I'd listened to the preview show the other day and heard them talking about it, and it all feels like a long time ago now. But
I never listened to the preview show.
You better hope they don't listen to this one then. Dave,
I think you're great, Harry.
Benjamin Irie would like to know, why haven't we switched to 2 up front yet? Preferably a 4-4-2. And is the lack of pace we have on the wing hindering our attacking movement?
I think Stats with me on this one. Absolutely preaching to the converted there. Absolutely. Christ knows why. I don't know. Because nothing else has worked. So why on earth aren't we going? I was banging on and Ben shot me down a bit on WhatsApp last night about 4-4-2. But I don't care in how you dress it up, whatever way you put it. We surely need to go with 2 up front and just go more direct. If that's what it takes, if that's people's perception, look. Why? If it's not. But if it's gonna have some semblance of chance of one scoring a few more goals to gain a few more points and ultimately at least keep us slightly competitive till the end of the season, surely we've got to give it a go. It's crying out for, especially at home. Goodness me.
What do you think, Dave? If it was under Mick McCarthy, he would be criticised for playing square pegs and round holes, and I think. Today's the 100th day that Paul Lambert's been in charge of Ipswich, and I think we can't let him get away with everything. We realise he's rebuilding, and he's rebuilding lots of things. A team, yeah. He's rebuilding the relationship between club and fans and stuff.
Supposedly he's committed long term. Yeah,
but yeah, that the team is crying out for 4-4-2. If Mick got criticised for playing Freddie on the wing, then we've got Alan Judge. When I saw the team, I thought, where does Judge fit in? And he was out on the wing. And
honestly, Stat, I wouldn't mind seeing Judge play wide in a 4-4-2.
No, exactly.
Absolutely, direct winger. I just wouldn't.
Because we'd probably end up playing a diamond of sorts, wouldn't we? Yeah. If we did go 4-4-2.
Absolutely.
And then it wouldn't matter so much that he's not an out-and-out winger, I suppose, and he'd see a lot more of the ball.
Yeah,
and he would, and he's obviously got a great delivery. It's for me, it's crying out. And what permutation? I don't know. Keane and Harrison, maybe. I'd quite like to see that. I quite rate Harrison. I rate Harrison. I think he's the best target man of those three. Actual out-and-out target man. Mm-hmm. I think he's the best of the three. I like Keane as a footballer. Quayne, as you say, I think jury's out, but I think Harrison's potentially the best number 9 out of them all.
Okay, so next question is from Mullet. So I guess this one goes to you, Stat. For 3 games running, we've been 0-0 at half-time and deserve to be behind. We then concede and collapse very quickly. Does this signify that we lack fight and desire as much as we lack quality? With our side often rotated and our best left-back sitting out, is Lambert right to take this stance?
I guess, if we all kind of believe that we are going to be relegated, and I think Paul Lambert is never going to say that and say that however many points are on the table he's going to fight for it. I think he needs to look at his squad and quite quickly, and I think an element of that has meant that he's been sort of chopping and changing his team a little bit, and as we've just said, we're not quite convinced that he knows what he's. Well, we don't think that 4-3-3 what we play is the best formation for him. So. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. You can't, we don't want to go down and embarrass ourselves. We want to go down with dignity, and hopefully, if we can bring it to the last few games and not, relegated in the middle of March or something like that. So we all pay our money, we all go down to watch it, and we all want to win a game. But at the same time, we should be having our eyes on, where we are next season. But that goes back to what you just said about Harrison, Dave. He's our player. Quayne and Keane, as much as I like Will Keane, we know that Harrison quite probably will be with us next season. So do they lack a desire? Well, when Norwich got relegated into League One, I think they had a number of loan players, and Paul Lambert, I think, said it last night.
Invariably, that is it. That is the way it is.
Yeah.
Dave,
you don't
Sunderland,
care
probably if you look at Sunderland last season, probably the same. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I bet it was. Sorry, go on, Mikey.
It's a similar question to you from Seb Brown. Is Lambert tactically good enough? He says he refuses to budge from 4-3-3, even though the personnel arguably suits 4-2-3-1 better with Judge in the 10.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't seem to change anything drastically in the game.
No, he doesn't.
Either.
No,
Is the in-game management an issue with Lambert?
I think it is. I think it is currently with what he's got. And yeah, I got to say, yesterday, I don't know where. Well, I do know where Stat sits, but around where you sit, Stat, was the first time yesterday that I started to hear some disquiet amongst fans with regard to the in-game stuff. Really, it's right out for two up front. God, and some sort of not abuse, but directed at him. Sort it out, sort of thing. So I think at the moment it does.
I think it's because he has this way that he wants to play from the start, and he is refusing to deviate from it. And it's actually very similar to what Farke was doing at Norwich last season
when they didn't have the players. Yeah,
when they didn't have the players, and
exactly.
Maybe that's our issue.
Yeah, I think you're right.
On that
now they've got the two. Now they've got the two young fullbacks. I harp on about Norwich. They've got the two young fullbacks that can both obviously play.
Tristan Ashby wants to know, Stat, what is the objective of playing out from the back, Bart giving the ball to a centre-back who's no further forward up the pitch? Does it outweigh the negatives?
I'm always a great believer that when you take a goal kick and you kick it up the middle of the park or whatever, that you've got 100% possession and you're immediately putting it down to at least 50% possession. So I guess in one way playing it out and it just kind of it's a different style of play, and it's going to take time to evolve and stuff like that. But the thing is, that if you do play it out to a centre back, they need to then be able to play the ball in quite a calm way. Collins could do that. Adam Webster, we had him before, and he would have been, him and Collins together would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
Some of these players, you look at Chambers, he's 30, 32 now, whatever. For the last 6 years, he's basically played with the ball just going over his head, and now he's being asked to do something different. And I think for those people, and you are right, Dave, there were people who were saying, a few negative comments, and there was a little bit spilt over. Well, a lot of that spilt over last night on social media. Yeah. But what I would say is, we've got to give him a chance. We've got to be patient. Ipswich were known for never ever basically sacking a manager. What do we have? 13 managers until the mid-90s or whatever. And now, Lambert's been in charge 100 days. Our previous manager was in charge 149 days. Mick was in charge 6.5 years. But the thing that's happened all of that time is that we have basically continued to erode the squad by selling our really good players and then trying to replace them with players of lesser ability and expecting them to do the same thing. And I think, Lambert has been dealt his hand. He's had a very, I'd say he's probably had a successful transfer window, but there are too many loan players still in there. And, he alluded to that last night. We just need to get to the summer. And if I'm being honest, we just need to get to the point where we are relegated. And then, everybody who we need to have a look at, that young Irish striker, would be good for him to come on. Just to see what everybody can do, and I fully expect Josh Emmanuel to come in. It looks like Spencer's goose is cooked. I don't think we're going to see him anymore. So yeah, that's a long rambling answer to a question I can't remember now.
Okay, Dave, Josh Berry wants to know, and you can answer this in as few words as you like. You've just woken up from a very deep sleep, and it's August the 1st. You open up the back page of the Sport for the season previews. Would you rather see Ipswich in the Championship or in League One?
Oh, jeez. Of course, you'd rather see him in the Championship. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course you would. Good God.
And we'll move on from that one. And there was another Twitter question which you answered probably 3 or 4 in that last answer stat. James Parker insists that he's not a fan of constant manager changes, but he says, do we have the right manager now, or should we change the manager? I think that we're all in agreement that we shouldn't change the manager now or at the end of the season.
Well, yeah, there's a few people. I think if you were on Twitter last night, that Elvin King, the former sports writer for the Ipswich Star, really thinks that Paul Lambert is the wrong man for us. It's not all about PR and about putting free trips for fans to Blackburn and bringing former ex-players down to the club and stuff. But what I would say is, if you speak to any of those former ex-players, Paul Lambert has injected, at the very least, within the club, positivity, and I think he's building the foundations for next season. And just to get rid of him now, I mean, who are we going to go for?
And if he's going to stay, you've got to give him the pre-season, his pre-season, his August transfer window, first window, and then look at it, and then maybe look at it a dozen games in, as we did with Hurst, maybe 14 with Hurst. But yeah, look at it at the end of September next season, October, depending on where we are.
Tim Harvey wants to know, we're going back to left back again, but more man management. He wants to know what happened to, if a player makes a mistake, it's my fault. I think he's referring to Lambert digging out Kenlock. Are we any better to watch than when we had Mick? At least under Mick, we had a few quality players to enjoy. Lawrence, Waghorn, and Dids. Thoughts? I mean, I'm not really sure exactly what the question. I know what he's getting at, but there's not really a direct question there, is it?
No, we did. We certainly had. It was great. Of course, it was great watching those. Well, when we had what was the game last year? The Sunderland game was fantastic, wasn't it? The Sunderland home game, Waghorn, McGoldrick, Selena, all on song. I think. I would say
did Adeyemi play?
Backed up by Adeyemi, I think.
Yeah.
All on song at the same time, and it was absolute joy to watch. You're right, the game could have finished 5-4, but it was absolutely.
No, Dave.
Yeah, this is what we got.
The game should have finished 4-2. And there was I sat next to Tricky McTrickerson, and I kind of jumped up and sort of smiled a little bit, and I said to him, actually, I'm quite annoyed now. I would accepted the 4-2 win. But yeah,
that was an example.
Yeah, Lambert would love those players, though, wouldn't he? Yeah. We'd love them, but this is who we've got at the moment, and I think it's the strategy going forward. I would hope that and I thought we kind of did it with Hurst, although we would, most of us sat there thinking, oh, look at this reasonably inexperienced, or certainly at Championship level manager signing all of these inexperienced players, from League One and League Two, where we thought, yeah, this might work. And clearly it didn't. But I would say that a strategy to move away from having so many loan players and, securing players on longer contracts. How many players are out of contract this summer? Half of them, I think.
Yeah, loads.
Yeah.
Loads. Yeah, that could have worked. That model could have worked to a degree, getting the odd one in. Say, for instance, you can imagine, God, lovely. Well, would have played it, Harrison playing up front next to Waghorn, for Christ's sake. I mean, you can imagine a real proper front two there. I could, but it just didn't. It couldn't happen, unfortunately.
Will we see Elder back after Lambert clearly wasn't very happy with Kenlock's performance, and if so, what loanee do you think will be left out? Should we go around the three of us and say who we'd have starting at left back if it was down to us
next week,
Sunday next week?
I'll start Knudsen.
I'm probably going to say Knudsen as well, but if not, then
I want to play
put Elder in.
I want a player who wants to be at the club and is not looking elsewhere. So Jonas, I'd bomb him out.
Okay, who would you go for? He's
only going to be up for one game of the season. Well, we've got 46 matches. No, Kenlock, play Kenlock. He's our player. No loanees. I'd rather.
You don't have to worry about the loanee question in that event, do you?
No, you don't.
James Monk wanted to. I mean, I think we've already touched upon that. Are we getting the best from Judge playing him out wide? No. The answer is quite clearly no, we're not.
No, not with one up. No, not at the moment.
A couple more tricky questions, and then we'll go on to a nicer one. Dennis Sullivan was another one with a Jonas Knudsen question. Should Lambert swallow his pride? Dave is saying yes. I'm saying yes. Stat is saying no. Tim Pashley wants to know 20 minutes of games.
Whoa. Oh.
What's going on there, Mikey?
Oh, no, we're all right.
We seem to be back. I'll start that question again. I'll do another sync clap, and it's. Whoa. Can you note down that it's 2051?
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. So Tim Pashley has a question, and this one will go to you, Dave. In the last 20 minutes of games, we've dropped a net 8 points in the last 20 minutes of games this season, and that's 5 under Paul Lambert. This would suggest mental/physical fatigue. What do you guys think? Let's not mention what Norwich did up the road, he says, PS.
A bit of both. Yes, got it in. Yeah, when you're in a position that we're in a scrapping, every point is a scrap and really hard earned. You are, mistakes unfortunately creep in, and I think there's a lot is mental fatigue more than anything. Yeah, I think it is both. It's a bit of physical, it's a bit of mental fatigue, and it's no coincidence. I will refer to those lot up the road that when you're on a roll like that, you're on such a roll. You find a way to pick up points. You find a way to score 93rd minute equalisers and winners and stuff. But you don't when you're down there. You just don't. Because I don't think you've got the mental fortitude to do it for one thing. It's just after a while it just grinds you down. Must do.
Yeah.
Even as a pro, it's got to.
I think the fickle finger of fate is pointing at us now, and I agree with everything you say, David. 91, 92, we go back to that season. I remember watching some games, and we were atrocious. Particularly, awful. I think Watford away, we won 1-0. I think Steve Whitten in the 89th minute, we got a late penalty against. Yeah, late penalty against Wolves. I think we beat them 2-1, and you get those things. And maybe if we were doing better when the ball went to the middle and that tackle went in on Keane in the middle, we might have got a free kick from that, and actually the ball would have gone up the other end. As one of our former Irish managers says, you make your own luck, but I think to a certain extent, when you are near the bottom, things will conspire to go against you.
Look, you only have to look at the last couple of weeks, the last 2 away games, for Christ's sake. The penalties, I mean, and the penalties against and the penalty for that could have been given. That's just how it goes, and it just seems to go that way, fortunately.
Simo or Simo wants to know. I know he's a regular listener. I think he's on the same page as a few of us. The defeat against Sheffield Wednesday has left him resigned to relegation. When do we stop playing the loan players and start building for next season with lads that will definitely be here? Use it as an extension to pre-season. Do you have a date in mind, Dave?
Well, Stat said it today, didn't you, Stat? Is it March the 12th? March the 12th is the first conceivable day we can actually be relegated.
But that's a bit iffy. I don't want people to come at me on Twitter and say that was a very quick and dirty answer. I think it might be a little bit later than that.
I think Stat's touched on this already. Totally, yeah. When it comes to that point, be it. Hopefully we can drag it on till Easter, although Easter's quite late this year. Certainly to April, if we can drag it on, absolutely. Let's do that. I seem to remember us doing this back in Stat. Oh, God, what year? 94, 95 would that be? When perhaps we bought Richard Wright in. Do you remember when we were getting pummeled by Man U and things? And right at the end of the season, we brought in Richard Wright and maybe 1 or 2 others. Absolutely the time, Mikey. Absolutely the time's right for that, I think. Definitely.
Okay, so now I've got 3 questions that are a little bit different to the rest. Alex Mills wants to know, what have we done to deserve such cruel... Sorry, I've said cruel wrong there. What have we done to deserve such cruel, painfully bad karma? Cobbled Massive wants to know, when will the pain end? And my sister Emily wants to know, are Ipswich cursed?
Hi, Emily. Right, so the reason of that is because we signed Ben Thatcher. We should never have signed Ben Thatcher. So the fact that we've signed him...
the answer to Alex Mills's question.
The Devil's player.
That's what we did to deserve the karma. Because some people have suggested it was...
Roy Keane?
I think it was Rich that suggested getting the cash out at Carrow Road a few years ago and saying... We're effing loaded and all that.
Oh, that was a Pullman Road, wasn't it? That was the 3. Was that not when Evans was just appointed in the last time we beat them? Wasn't it the 3-2 game?
It was the away game as well. I remember
well,
with a £20 note waving it about, saying that how loaded we were. So embarrassing.
I mean, it's even you go back to this season. I saw this spoken about earlier on. Who would have thought it? That 1-1 game in first September? I think it was September the 1st or something like that. We should have won that game. We look more likely to win that game. Who the hell would have thought it? I saw some stat today. The run Norwich have had from there is something like 115, drawn 3, lost 2, something like that. I mean, you just couldn't see it, could you?
Well, I'll tell you what, Dave. This is why it happened. You and I sitting in the Greyhound pub having our breakfast.
Yeah, I
and
remember.
then the team news came out, and you remember the noise that went round where they said Bart's been dropped. And I do wonder,
reverberated around the bad karma started from there.
What impact that had on the team, particularly in that game. But yeah, we didn't look miles apart then. In fact, I read a stat that this time last season, after 30 games, Norwich and Ipswich were both on 43 points and about 13th place. So yeah, I'm just as astounded that they're top as we're bottom. I think
so. And they've just found something, haven't they? We should talk about them. You know, they've got. Well, there you go. They've got a player who's having a season like obviously Daryl Murphy did 4 seasons ago. You know, where's he come from, for Christ's sake? Nowhere. But,
so, are Ipswich cursed?
They are at the moment, but hopefully we'll have a new owner of the club at some point in the future.
Okay, and is that when Cobble Massive's question was when will the pain end? Is that when the pain will end? Not next Sunday afternoon?
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, we could have a little, you know, if you imagine a life support machine, you know, we might have a little blip on Sunday. And
can you imagine?
As you remember St. Greaves, they used to be on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Dave, and you obviously remember them both as footballers. I didn't realise they were footballers. I thought they were presenters. But, you know, Jimmy Greaves always say football's a funny old game, and it certainly will be on Sunday if we come away with 3 points.
Mate, funny, it'll be hilarious if we come away with 3 points on Sunday. Yeah. But look, and wouldn't that just be it? Wouldn't that be to give everyone the shittiest season out of them all? That would just give everyone such a lift, wouldn't it? So much so, and don't for one thing, I think will happen. So much so, but there's your game that if somehow you get a win out of that game, you'd probably start to believe, because that would give you such a lift, wouldn't it?
I've got a question for you, Mikey.
Yeah.
So we're at Carrow Road. You're at Carrow Road next Sunday.
Going, aren't you?
Wow. Yeah, I'm going.
89th minute. It's 0-0.
Yeah.
Alan Judge scores the winner. Who do you think? What set of fans will Paul Lambert swear at?
Very good. I don't think Paul Lambert will swear at any fans.
No, he's a good boy, good lad.
He's a good bloke, isn't he? Speaking of good blokes, Ed Seven Lee, who is a Brentford fan, who used to be a Leeds fan, which is an interesting one. He's got a more general championship question. Who is the best championship player from the last 10 years?
Wow.
Dave, do you want to go first? Ed Lee, if he stopped drinking Fosters and lost about 4 stone, he'd probably get in our midfield.
Who was that?
The lad who's asked the question. He's a half decent Sunday League player.
Okay.
Dave, before you answer, can I go with Doogie? Just saying.
Doogie.
Yeah. Jonathan Douglas.
Oh, Dougie.
Yeah.
Best championship player. I'll tell you what, the guy from Wolves took some beating, that Ruben Neves last season.
Neves, yeah, that was the one that popped into my head first.
I've got to say,
outstanding. 10 years though, my God, I mean.
There were loads of great players. Who did Ben go for?
Ben made the suggestion because he saw the Twitter question. He went for Adel Taarabt.
Oh, yeah, he was just funny. Yeah, okay, yeah.
One of the seasons he was incredible.
Well, ridiculous,
wasn't he?
We've had this on the pod before. I've spoken to Ben about this before, where it might have been you, Stat, where basically I don't know if you read Warnock's book, and there's a great bit in Warnock's book where he talks about that season, and he said first time he saw him in training, he said to the lads, he said, "Who's this lad?" And they said, "Boss, forget him. He'll get you the sack. Just forget him. He's all out for himself. He'll disappear. He'll get you the sack. He's a show pony." And then he said, first thing I did, he said, I could see his influence, what he could do. He said, I got Clint Hinn and Sean Derry, said, "Boys, you've got to get the lads on side. Just tell him I'm going to play this lad every week, and he will get you promoted." Oh, it's brilliant management.
Didn't he? He made Taarabt the captain, didn't he? But then
he used to go AWOL and stuff.
But he pulled Derry and Hill aside and told them that they were the captain and vice captain. Yeah. But Taarabt had the armband because he thought
Taarabt had the armband and they had to get the lads on side with it all. Oh, it's great. But he was outstanding, my God. But yeah, Neves.
I've got 2 names for you. One is a brief cameo appearance in the Championship, and I think we will all agree is by far the best player to ever play in the Championship, Giovanni Dos Santos. But my actual player that I'm going to go for, because goals win matches, and I don't like to say his name, David Nugent has scored a fair few goals in the second tier of English football. I reckon he's in the top 5 Championship.
Yeah, he scored a lot.
One player that popped into my head, and it might sound like a bit of a bandwagon, but I actually think he's the perfect Championship striker. Is Callum Wilson, Bournemouth.
Yeah,
he was excellent. And he's excellent in the Premier League. But he can do a bit of everything.
Matt Ritchie was good that season as well. But you're right, Wilson. Yeah, I'm sure he'll turn out. He'll go for a big move, won't he? And I think he'll be in England. Well, I think yes. He's certainly been in the squads. I think he's that good. Yeah.
Mikey, do you?
Good question. That.
Yeah, it is a good question. I just, sort of like a supplementary question for you, Mikey. If we're talking specifically about goalkeepers, do you think that Ipswich's current number 1 would be there, or do you think that Bart would be one of the top goalkeepers in the Championship of the last 10 years?
Very good question. I don't think our current number 1, in terms of squad numbers, would rank in the top 20 goalkeepers. I think Bart, for the form of not this season, but the previous 2 or 3, I think he'd be in the top 5.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's quite a boring answer, isn't it? But let's move on to the other results, shall we? On Friday night, Preston drew 0-0 with Derby. I wouldn't have fancied going all the way out there to watch that.
Someone must be mad to go all the way up there to watch that. Surely.
Bonkers.
Insane, aren't they?
Yeah. Birmingham beat Nottingham Forest 2-0, a real dent in Forest's playoff bid under Martin O'Neill and
was that not Roy Keane's first game, wasn't it? Stat, I think.
The Roy Keane effect.
Yeah. When did we play Forest at home?
Oh God, it's at some point. I don't know when. Yeah.
Ed Lee's Brentford came from 2-0 down to beat Blackburn Rovers 5-2. I mean, it was a shock to see them 2-0 down, but Blackburn have been flying recently, but to come back with 5 goals, like Brentford just score for fun at the moment, don't they?
Yeah, they've sort of turned the corner under that new manager. They were 2-0 down. They were 2-0 down in like 7 minutes, weren't they? It was a mad game. But Brentford. It's good to see they haven't lost. Even when they're going for that bad spell, they didn't lose their principle sort of thing. Still got the same nucleus of squad, haven't they? I guess.
The We Hate Cardiff derby between Bristol City and Swansea ended with Bristol City winning 2-0. And they're streaky though, aren't they? They do this.
They're the form
Will they
team.
stay there?
That's their 5th league win on the trot. They are the form team at the moment, taking over that mantle from Hull, I guess. Yeah, superb on a superb run.
Who also won 2-0. So Hull don't look like they're going away, and that 2-0 win was against Stoke, who really haven't got going under Nathan Jones, have they?
Well, again, for Hull, importantly, I saw their goals was that Jared Bowen scored again and that Grzycki scored again. So what they did well was to get through the window with those two, because they're 4 points out of the playoffs. They are not a million miles away at all. Hull, incredible run.
Let's just say that Ipswich aren't relegated yet, and we do have a few wins ahead of us. Is Millwall 0, Rotherham 0 a good scoreline for us?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, there's 4 points that have been dropped there, and I think midweek as well with Bolton drawing as well. I don't want to go back to the game on Saturday, but if we'd have got 3 points in that game and suddenly we're down to 5, and it seems a lot more doable. But no, yeah, you want your rivals to drop points, and they both did.
My take on that, I've mentioned it before we went on air, Stat, didn't I? I checked today, don't know why, I just did. Before we play Norwich next Sunday, Rotherham are at home to Wigan on Saturday. So by the time we play Norwich, hopefully not, it could be 11.
Goodness me.
It just gets worse. I was thinking, surely they've got someone like, I don't know, who might they have at home? I don't know, someone in form, like, I don't know, like a Bristol City or something like that, because I knew they were away yesterday. Bloody Wigan.
How many points so who's next? Is Millwall above Rotherham, is it, in the league table, Mikey?
Yeah.
Millwall, yes, how many points have they got?
Like 32. They're 14 points.
Okay, so, Reading are on 25 in the final, in 22nd spot. Yeah. Rotherham are on 26. Millwall are 4 points ahead on 30. And Wigan are on 32. And then Preston are way ahead on 37. So...
You're right, Dave. It will be 11 points difference come Sunday.
Could be. Could well
and wouldn't it be, can you imagine in 100 years' time in folklore, they'll talk about the time that Ipswich were bottom of the Championship, 11 points from safety, playing top of the table Norwich, who had just in their previous game beaten the top of the table team. They're playing some really good football, and we go there in the 89th minute, score the winner, which is the catalyst for us staying up.
Jonas Knudsen comes off the bench because he has got form. He has got form with
He
Norwich.
has got form,
He has got form.
Yeah.
He should have scored there last season.
Oh, he should have scored. He should have had an assist last season as well. Wrap the bloody game up, shouldn't he? Christ. Yeah.
So our Reading, we just mentioned, they drew 0-0 with Aston Villa. Shall we talk about the Tyrone Mings incident? Did he mean it? If you haven't seen it, maybe don't look it up. But Nelson Oliveira's lucky to still have an eyeball.
Lacerations, I think they call that.
Question, Mikey. I don't know if you know about this, but if somebody like Dave or I was to say that he did mean it, would we be in trouble?
Well, I suppose it depends
opinion.
how you say it. You just have to say, in my opinion.
Okay. In my opinion, he could have moved his foot out of the way a bit more. But if you look at his left, and I watched it a few times, his left leg is at a funny angle when he goes over.
And is he looking? Where's he look? Where's he looking? He's not looking at Oliveira, is he? I guess he's following the flight of the ball. Is he?
Dave, using the word that you just used about Jonas Knudsen, Tyrone Mings, he does have form. And that's the reason that I think that Twitter and social media are debating whether he did it. Yeah,
of course it is. Yeah, form with a much bigger fish, and
they
absolutely.
paid £1 million loan fee for him, Mikey.
Tyrone Mings. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
It's mad.
Apparently, he played pretty well apart from that incident. I'd be interested to see how much is he going to play now, because he could easily get banned now. But I was actually really interested to see how he got on.
Did he get booked then? Did he get?
I don't know, but it will be a retrospective ban.
I haven't looked at. I think that's a tough one to pin.
It's too close to call. Dave, watch it again and look at his left leg. His left leg is right bent back, and I think that's then stopped him from moving his right foot too much. And I think it's just come at
angle, just the angle he is. Yeah,
I'm sure that Tyrone Mings didn't mean to inflict the damage.
There are other players.
He may have meant to land his foot on Oliveira. that
on his face and wondered what would happen to him.
I don't know whether he knew that he was leaving it down on his face, because Oliveira was moving as well.
Yeah,
he was sliding along the ground, so it's not like he could. It's not like he knew exactly where he was.
Yeah. You just don't like, he comes across. I know it's in the heat of battle and stuff like that, but he does to me when I have spoken to him before. He just doesn't come across as that kind of person at all. But look, once you cross the line, it's football. But my take on it, but I haven't looked at it enough. But is he there? His feet are there. Is he following the flight of the ball? If so, then his feet can go anywhere, can't he? He's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but how many times have you seen that happen, Dave?
Oh, let's drop it.
Yeah, okay.
and can we all be in agreement that the Ipswich fans that are out there saying that's one good thing that came out of the weekend is what happened to Oliveira? That's just idiocy, isn't it?
It's total wrong. That's so wrong, and that's just utterly wrong. No,
we like football rivalry, but it doesn't matter who it is. Seeing Oliveira's face sliced open like that. Yeah.
No.
Let's move on to a happier subject. David McGoldrick, he scored again as Sheffield United beat Bolton 2-0. Did he score 2 or just 1 this time?
No, 1. So he's got 11 now and 3 assists.
He's even got his own celebration that he does every time now, hasn't he? Because he's scoring that often. He does that.
Gives it that, doesn't he?
Because he did that earlier on in the season and slipped over as he did it.
And they've got they've coined that David McGoldrick song as well, which dear, not obviously we invented that one. It's quite imaginative that one, the lyrics, but it just sticks in the throat. That.
Here's a question for you, Mikey.
Go.
Stat, you're really throwing the questions at me.
Yeah. Should he celebrate when he scores against us at Portman Road?
Yes, he should.
Yes.
Yeah. He doesn't have to celebrate in front of the Ipswich fans.
What, by doing this?
Well, he can just do that towards his teammates or bench. If he does that towards the Ipswich fans, I say it's a little bit disrespectful, because we were always pretty supportive of him, I thought.
Yeah.
I'd be annoyed if he did that towards the Sir Bobby Robson stand. Even more annoyed if he did it towards the Churchmans, because that would just be
even more if he did it towards a co-op where I'm sitting. It's dreadful. A shock result that maybe shouldn't be a shock result. Middlesbrough won 3-2. They scored 3 goals at West Brom. West Brom really sort of just so inconsistent, aren't they? They on paper sometimes they just look like they should be absolutely flying, but did you see they signed in
the playoffs?
See, they signed in the transfer window. West Brom, Jefferson Montero from Swansea, Stefan Johansson from Fulham. For God's sake,
very good Championship player.
My God, he was so much so. I think he was on the bench yesterday. I don't even think because they had too many loanees, I guess, but. They've always got when you know what, if you've got a striker, like a Samba Longa, how many goals has he scored in Championship level over the last few seasons? You always got a chance, haven't you? Two good finishes, paid the price. I still think West Brom are going to score through sheer weight of goals. Will be still hovering around that top 2 though.
QPR decided against doing us a favour at Wigan. Wigan won 2-1. That was a bad result for us, But all's not right at Wigan. The fans aren't happy at all with the way things are going and the fact that they sold Will Grigg to Sunderland right at the last minute. It was similar to the Daryl Murphy sale in that they got good money, but
didn't replace him.
Didn't replace him because it was too late.
I see that Windass scored him. They got Joe Garner. Well, they need.
Yeah. Wesley on best when you need him.
He is a free agent, I think.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. Get on the phone to him.
I bet he's gone back to live with his dad, David. Do you hear that stat?
Has he?
Yeah.
Wow.
So. Yeah.
There should be like a sitcom about those two.
The best.
Yeah.
Was
there any other games in the Championship? I haven't got any written down.
Don't know. Who haven't you said? No, I think you're covered. Oh, no. Was there one up in Yorkshire? One. Ben go to another. Ben went to another one. We'd better mention it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we probably should. Norwich were pretty awesome at Leeds. Yeah. If you want to know about that game, check out Benjamin Bloom's YouTube channel.
I think so.
And there'll be an in-depth match review from a Championship football expert rather than us.
Just the worrying thing about that game, watching it, and I did watch most of that game. I forced myself to is the press and the amount of second ball they pick up, and we're not going to have the ball. If that's the case, we ain't going to have it next week because that's what we don't do. And we didn't do it yesterday. We didn't do it other home games, obviously in Rotherham. Second ball, we just don't win it at all. And they absolutely bossed Leeds yesterday, didn't they? Out of that, absolutely all over them, weren't they? You got to say, very impressive. I hate to say it, but yeah.
I've been ignorant towards Norwich's side all season because obviously I don't go out of my way to watch Norwich.
No.
But there's a few players who I didn't know anything about who it turns out are just excellent Championship players.
French, Steve, and mostly
unfortunately. Gwendia. Is it Gwendia?
Gwendia, yeah.
Gwendia. He just just so quick on the break and close control.
I like the young fullbacks, the 2 young fullbacks, they're both academy players come through. But let's leave it there anyway. Yeah. Let's leave it there. Let's not talk them up. We don't need to talk them up.
So we've already talked about the Championship table as well, haven't we? So we can skip that segment.
Please, yeah.
It's upside down, isn't it? It's upside down.
You're both rushing me along, but you know what it is now. It's now 2 Little Ducks. Or before we do 2 Little Ducks, I want to get both of your opinions on the Marcus Evans interview with Stuart Watson, which was this week. So, Stat, do you want to go first on that?
I think first of all, well done to Stuart Watson for finally getting Marcus Evans out there.
Him down.
And I thought he did reasonably well interviewing a guy who wasn't really going to give a great deal of information out, and he didn't really say a great deal more than most of us knew. But I think the disappointing thing was his answer to the would you have done anything differently? And he goes back to January 2015 when we're in the top two of the Championship, and this is a time when you've got to invest in your team. And he said that January 2015 was a time that he looked back on and with regrets, but he actually wasn't on about buying players or anything. It was all about the Southampton FA Cup match that they decided to go for. And I'm thinking that was such a distraction. And McGoldrick got injured, I think, in the replay, Dave, didn't he? I think.
So did I think. I checked that today, that replay, because considering, I think we did have some injuries at the time anyway, but considering that, we still had like 8 first-choice players playing that night. 8
Yeah.
we had McGoldrick and Murphy up front.
But the other thing about
in the first leg though, we needed to avoid the replay. Mick played for a point. Once Southampton scored, he played for a point in a cup game.
Yeah.
I remember joking as we walked out. Is like another great away point from Mick, but it was great that we managed to match Southampton that day, and it was a strong Southampton team. They had Schneider.
I think we played well. I didn't go actually, but I think we played quite well.
Yeah, we did play quite well, but we didn't go for it. Once Southampton scored, we shut up shop and we played for a bloody draw, which was the opposite of what we should have done. But there's been so many other things that have happened. We can't.
The other thing,
then it was Evans that decided to bring that up. That's what.
That was odd that he brought that up. That was quite odd, really quite odd.
The other thing I want to say is that he talks about the level of investment that he has, and I don't know whether Stuart was being completely sarcastic or not when he said, fans are kind of thanking you for your continued investment, to which Marcus Evans said, are they? I haven't heard that. But he did talk about his level of investment, and it's not going to change because I think he's completely risk averse now, and realistically the strategy that he's got has gradually taken us to the bottom of the Championship, and you have to wonder what that strategy will be like in League One, and actually will we be in a better position? Because he says, yeah, of course I can invest 20 million, but we might not be guaranteed of getting promotion. But actually splash 20 million out, we might actually not be in the bottom 3 of the Championship and hurtling into the 3rd tier for the first time in 60 years under poor ownership of Marcus Evans. What on earth did he have a calculator for on his desk? I think, the funniest answer that I saw, somebody noticed he had a calculator, and they said that's because he wanted to type, when you were at school, Dave, you used to type boobies and that's what they reckon he was doing.
It's a pretty retro PC in that room as well. He's quite old school, isn't he?
He likes cheap things. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because he is listening.
Marcus, come on here. We'd love to interview
Maybe ask us a question. We'll start slowly. Give us a Twitter question next Sunday, and then maybe we'll try and arrange via DM you coming on Blue Monday show. Dave, did you learn anything new from that interview?
No, not at all. No, the most interesting part for me that caught my eye was that Southampton game and the 2014-15 and sort of lack of investment. I didn't realise, it's not till I read it back, the players we got in. So we got in, obviously we paid a fee for Freddie Sears. Yeah. We got in Noel Hunt on a short-term contract I think we'd already had on loan.
Yeah.
I think we got in Paddy Kenny. I've forgotten all about him. Paddy Kenny and Dylan Connolly, I think we mentioned earlier from Shelbourne or whatever.
What about Richard Chaplow, or was he an emergency?
Oh, that's a good point. Must have been an emergency, I guess. I think he scored
for us. I think in March, and he only played 6 games for us. I think.
Yeah, I think he must have been an emergency.
Yeah. He started in the Norwich game that season.
Or maybe or maybe he was just non-contract. Was he one of these players? I can't remember. I honestly can't remember.
You know who he's playing for now? He's playing in America for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Sure, it's not the Tulsa Roughnecks.
No, it's a new franchise.
Okay, mate. Good research. Good research.
Yeah,
good research.
I like when we say these things, and Mikey's presenting, and it's quite clear that he's never ever watched the history pod because all these things are going over his head. But you should watch it, Mikey. It's funny.
San Jose Earthquakes. You sure you wouldn't play for those?
No, Saskatchewan Roughriders is what I'm.
That was the best one last year when I said Tulsa Roughnecks, and you looked at me. What the hell is he on about? Then Daryl confirmed it.
Okay, so now we've wrapped up the news. Shall we go on to the Sheffield Wednesday game? We started the pod again, so let's move on to Two Little Ducks.
Go on, Mikey.
So
pad.
I hate this.
Pad. I haven't gone back as far this time, but I don't know if that will help. Yeah. I've gone for as it's Derby week now. I've gone for the East Anglian derby at Carrow Road, February 2017. It finished Norwich 1, Ipswich 1, but it wasn't the one where they scored in injury time. So while you start to jot your answers down, the last time I presented the pod, I asked a really partridge question: who you'd go for breakfast with out of the current Ipswich squad, and what would you have? So this time I decided to ask a different question, which was, if you like me are going to Norwich away, why couldn't you stay away? I got one response. I got about 24 for the breakfast thing. I got one response, and it's from Barry. So it must just be me and Barry Mann that are going next week. He says, and this is nice, I just love my club, and despite the results, I couldn't imagine not going to watch Town when we're playing. Tractor emoji, blue and white. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to say, whilst Dave is coming up with all the answers, because I've named about 6 players and kind of stopped. Fair play to all of the fans, going up there on Sunday, and I hope that they all go up there and come home happy and safe, despite, well, they're not going into a war zone, but despite the ridiculous constraints that they've got of getting into the ground.
Yeah, that was a Twitter question from Peter Cox. Did you see the article in the Daily Press? The Eastern Daily Press?
Yeah.
So the guy paper,
the opinion. I think it was an opinion piece.
The Hate Lambert.
Yeah. Do we boo Paul Lambert when he comes back?
Yeah. I mean, we can't.
Does this incite trouble? That's what Peter Cox wanted to know.
Well, it will probably incite other idiots to write stupid things, I reckon. It was. Well, no, it's just stupid. Anything that comes from the Eastern Daily Press is stupid. So that's how I'm leaving it at that.
I don't think it's helpful. And if I was a Norwich fan at the moment, I'd be pretty annoyed about that article.
I don't, because most of them are arrogant. They probably think it's great.
Okay. Shout out to all the Norwich fans listening in at the moment, by the way.
Yeah, hello, Ben.
Oh, come on.
Oh, start. Come on now.
Are you ready? Can you come back into shot, Dave?
Yeah, go on. I'm just doing that. Go on,
Dave was reading the newspaper from February 2017. I saw that.
Yeah. Funny enough, I've got that right there. Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Go on in. Jonas Knudsen.
Correct.
Yeah. Bart.
Correct.
Chambers.
Correct.
Right, Dave. We can confer now, can't we?
Of course you can.
Well, I don't know. We confer now. So right back.
Yeah.
So this is the goal where I think Spence plays a ball over.
And
was Spence? Did he come on a sub or did he start?
He did start.
He did start. Right. Okay.
Cross. What a cross.
So who played with Chambers in the centre?
Berra.
Tom.
Berra is correct.
Right. Yeah. Not Tommy then. Good.
I'll give you a clue.
Lawrence.
We played the same formation there as we did last season. Do you want to play your golden goose on Tom Lawrence, Dave?
No, because I think he played. No. I'd have.
He didn't, because he stupidly got booked in the tunnel at Brighton a few days before.
He did. I would say Murphy scored one of them. Scored either Jacob or Josh. The Norwich goal. Near post beat Bart, didn't he? Jay Murphy. Bart and his near post.
Yeah, Jay Murphy. Because the other Jay Murphy came off the bench.
Right. There you go. Okay.
So you don't lose a life anyway.
Didn't lose a life.
This is a tricky one for me, because obviously that was the season where I gave up my season ticket and turned. So but David McGoldrick, I'm going to guess that he was fit.
Yeah, he was indeed.
Yeah.
He started.
I seem to remember, or am I thinking of the playoff game?
Yeah, there's a really obvious midfielder who always plays for us.
Cole Skuse.
Yeah, and then there's another one who really doesn't.
Oh.
Is
it? Well, it's Hugh. No, not me. Hugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
Me. Hugh. Yeah.
He played. Played very deep.
This is around the Villa. We must.
Yeah.
We got them all. We got them all when we start. Mikey?
You're close. You're close.
What position were you missing?
You're missing the left wing back because Knudsen played in his best position that day.
Right.
Tommy. No, Tommy Smith wouldn't have been. So Kenlock.
Kenlock is correct.
Yeah.
You're missing a midfielder and a striker.
Story of our season.
Striker.
So we got.
Freddie?
Did you say?
No, you haven't said Freddie, but Freddie's correct.
Yeah.
So you're just missing one midfielder. Still on the books at Ipswich.
Wow.
But not playing at present.
Right. It's not Addy. No, it's not Addy Amy.
No.
Okay.
On the books, but not playing. A midfielder.
Has he played this season then, Mikey?
Cole Skews?
He has, yeah.
Oh,
Cole Skews was right, yeah.
Sorry, just fit the category, yeah.
He's out with a long-term injury.
This silence is embarrassing now,
He
Dave.
may have picked it up in West London.
Oh god! People are saying, "Idiot." How was the long?
Don't they know anything?
Would
Do you
you
want to have a go at
what you picked up?
do you
What
want to have a go at
shopping in
Norwich?
Shopping in Westfield.
Well, Westfield's very close to where he picked up the
He
injury.
picked it up at Keep. Oh man!
So who got injured? That was this season. He got injured at that was Boxing Day.
Yeah.
And he got injured.
Yeah.
And he's one of our midfielders.
Yeah.
But he can't be very good.
No, he's not.
Hey? Oh god!
And he played in this game.
Do you want to have a go at Norwich and then come back to that one?
Tim Closer.
That's correct.
I'm
going to give you an early clue.
Zimmerman.
Do you want to play your?
All right, I will. I'll go on and I'll play my.
Yeah. You've mentioned Norwich's right back already in this podcast. He was linked with us.
Pinto.
Pinto.
Correct.
What about the other guy who just got his face smashed in by Tyrone Ming? Sorry, who's had that coming together by Ming?
I wouldn't go down that route.
I was just asking how he was.
No, how he was. How's he doing? Have you heard? Oh, tell us who the Ipswich player is. Put us out of our misery, Mikey.
Grant Ward.
Oh. Well, he's easily forgotten then, isn't he?
Yeah.
Say that, but
it was Mikey. I quite rate him as Mikey's fault. He said he weren't very good.
Yeah, but I did give you a lot of clues before that.
You did.
Was Wesley playing for them?
He was indeed.
Yeah.
Don't call him that.
Oh, come on. He's the only player called Wesley, but I thought he might come to us in the January transfer.
Did he prom? Or is he still there? I don't know.
I think he would have walked over hot coals to be with Lambert.
So hang on, who would have been in goal 2017? So we're talking about
Ruddy.
Correct.
Yeah. Ruddy.
You're missing one centre back who played a lot of football for Norwich. Ended up in Scotland. I don't know where he is now.
A centre back played.
He played for them for a long time.
I don't even like looking at them, so remembering their names is a bit of a struggle. Is his initials C? Does his first name begin with the letter C?
No.
Because this was 2007.
They had a good centre midfield pairing. One of them still plays for them.
Leroy Fur.
No, sorry.
Did they have the other guy? Tetty.
Correct.
So I meant Tetty, not.
You can still go stat.
I meant Tetty, not Fur, not Leroy Fur. I meant Tetty. That's what I meant.
Who did they have up front?
Tetty's brother. I don't know.
Big striker.
Oh, Cameron Jerome.
Correct. And then they had a expensive Scottish striker playing off him.
Yeah, Naismith.
Correct.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the only ones we're missing is Howson. He was a decent player.
Still there, was he?
And then they had that left back who was on loan, I think, called Dykes. Dick Van Dyke.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he was.
I have no idea about him. Really disappointing that you didn't go for what I thought you were going to say was, one of our biggest derby away defeats when we lost 4-1. Because I could have probably rattled our team off in that one.
The
Yeah, I
playoff,
think I could
the
have
playoff
done.
game.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
the full
no,
one.
no, no,
the
of
whole,
course, yeah.
the whole
Roy
hat trick.
Keane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was
that Zuvaloon.
Zuvaloon and Rory
Yeah.
Fallon. I think that was his debut.
No, didn't that the 4-1 game? Didn't that O'Dowd play?
Darren
O'Day played at left back.
Darren O'Day. He got caught for one of the goals, didn't he?
Delaney and Tommy Smith.
Delaney, Tommy Smith.
Full up in goal.
Yeah.
Norris.
Norris.
Priskin. Thomas Priskin.
No, Priskin didn't play. I don't think.
No, he did. He definitely did.
Did he?
Yeah.
He must have come on as sub. Did he?
I seem to remember him being involved.
Would he be in then?
That's not the team stats looking at on his phone.
No, I'm trying. Right. So we've got Thomas Priskin. Jason Scotland would have played.
I don't know if
with him.
Scotland played. I'm not
well,
sure.
let's not go through endless games of players who might have played for Ipswich in the past. But I think what we've all got out of that is, once you get injured at Ipswich Town and you're out the team, that nobody remembers you. So sorry, Grant.
Sorry, Grant. Yeah, another listener who might not listen in again.
Grant, I can't believe it.
As we're talking about Norwich games, it's a good time to plug Ben's latest show that he's done with Talk Norwich City, which is dropping on Monday. Where I think, he was chatting to. I'll call them. Yeah, was it just Jack Reeve?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
his
watchable now.
mate wasn't there. Chris wasn't there. I don't think it was Jack. Yeah.
And we'll also hear from Ipswich and Harry from Bath later on in the week, either Thursday or Friday. And they've promised to fill us up with optimism of how we can beat Norwich on Sunday. Is there any history pods in the offing before the live show? Or are you two both limbering up for the big one after the Stoke game?
Dave's not going to say anything and look at me. So this is where we're at. We're working towards our history game for the Blue Monday Live. And it's a cracker, isn't it, Dave?
It's a cracker. Are we going to recreate a few goals like, Badil and Skinner, Phoenix from the Flames?
That'd be
brilliant. That'd be brilliant. Yeah. Some crowd participation. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Pull a couple of people out to go in goals, central defenders. I had hit on something there.
I had something similar. So I've been working on a PowerPoint presentation, which I think will be as equally good, because at some points there is sort of the text will swirl in and appear at the bottom. But audience participation. It's a great game to have. But
it will be.
Whether we could fit. Dave, I was going to ask you, and this normally would be how our text would go. But Dave, do you fancy doing a history pod on the 80s, and maybe we could get it out the end of this week, early next week?
Yeah, definitely up for that stat. Yeah, of course. Yeah, don't need any encouragement. Don't need any encouragement for that one.
We have breaking news then on the flagship show. The 150th episode, there is going to be a history pod in the next 2 weeks.
I think there will be, just prior to us limbering up. That will be limbering up for the live show.
Okay.
It's close, isn't it?
People are paying to watch you, Dave.
Well, and you, Stat. All of us, mate.
People are booing to watch me. I think people are paying to boo me, I think, so...
Well, yeah. Your Twitter buddies are going to come along.
It'll be nice to meet everybody, and we can all have a group hug.
Okay, so let's wrap it up there then. Cheers for coming on, Dave and Stat. I think that was.
Cheers, Mikey.
Yeah, you did
bit
very
of a
well.
slog at times with the questions, wasn't it? But
hosted.
We got there. So Ipswich are now 8 points from safety, but we plough on, don't we?
Yeah. We do. Any catchphrases any catchphrase stuff to come out with, Stat?
What for 8? I don't know. Don't put me on the spot like that. I can't think and be funny at the same time. But no, it's just when people are listening and watching to this, just try not to think about who we're playing next Sunday. Let that worry you about midday.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's good advice. That's good advice. Don't worry about it till next week. Yeah, exactly. Next Sunday midday. Yeah, good advice. That's Stat.
Perfect. All right. See you later, guys.
Cheers, Mikey.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Careful what you wish for.
Even better back to Stewart. Oh, he turns to defend sweetly. Found the goalkeeper and scores a magnificent goal.